Pyrokinesis and 2 Lightning Bolt. Pyrokinesis in this matchup could be absolutely backbreaking. And also, I think very importantly, check out this package. He's got a Sting Scourger, which is not totally uncommon. He's got a Sharpshooter, which has really seen a resurgence lately because of all the creature decks. But then, count them, 2 Tuk-Tuk Scrappers.
Wow. So he's definitely going after artifacts.
You know who he's going after? He's going after Maverick. He's going after Maverick.
Pyrokinesis is usually something that's only played out of the board in Goblins. I've seen it oftentimes. He does have a 3rd one on the board, but no, he has them in the main. So we'll start this match. What's interesting is that Brett Parise, one of the more interesting things that we've seen in some decks lists recently against Maverick has been Sulfur Elemental. Brett is not running that right now, but against Mother of Runes and possibly Lingering Souls, it's something which we're expecting to see. So between Denny and Brett, they're going to be getting started any second here. So Denny's deck, as I said earlier, only 3 Stoneforge Mystics. He still is playing a 4 Mother of Runes, 4 Knight of the Reliquary, but only 3 Noble Hierarchs. So he actually has Scrib Rangers in the main, which are pro-blue, so may not be as useful in this matchup. 2 Scavenging Ooze, a Bird of Paradise, an Eternal Witness, a Gaddock Teague, and a Thrun, all in his main deck. And 2 players. I believe discussing, can't tell what they're discussing, but Brett Parise, 4 Goblin Lackey, 2 Warren Instigator, hoping to land one of those early. He's also running 2 Mog War Marshal, only 2 Pile Drivers, and then 4 ofs on your Ringleaders, Chieftains, Matrons, things that you'd usually expect out of the deck. So turn 1 we see Jenny Chan leading on Noble Hierarch, which Goblins player, off mountain, probably playing a Goblin, and he does have his Lackey, so Denny hopefully having a 2-drop, which we should expect him to have, to be able to stop the Lackey from unleashing a horde of goblins. Now, both players now knowing the matchup. Both are 3-0 here at Star City Sacramento. This is the 4th round of the Legacy Open. Denny has a Mother of Runes, but appears to maybe not have a creature other than Mother of Runes. Not really wanting to trade the Mother of Runes for the Lackey. He's instead getting a Zenith for 2. Really important that he gets a blocker in here. So his options will be Scrib Ranger, Scavenging Ooze, and Kasali Pride Mage. I would expect to see the Scavenging Ooze here.
Ooze is so good. The life gain is just such an important card or effect in so many different matchups.
Now, tell me, Brett is running the mono red version. I said before, does not run Rishadan Port. Now, Rishadan Port's usually a mainstay of the mono red Goblins builds, isn't it?
You know, I've been seeing less Rishadan Ports lately. In the past, it was usually a 4-4. Oh.
And now, oh my goodness,
boy,
the main deck Pyrokinesis really showing its strength here.
Oh, that is. And kind of devastating.
He was gunning for Maverick, and oh my, is he ever gunning for it?
And then look, a
and then waste his land.
And then a Lackey's gonna do what?
And he can only hope it's not a Siege Gang Commander. And that's Siege Gang Commander, isn't it? It's alternate art for Siege Gang. And that's Kiki-Jiki Mirror Breaker.
Kiki-Jiki.
So Mother of Runes, eating a Lightning Bolt.
Oh my god, Lightning Bolts.
So Brett Parise's hand was all must have been Lightning Bolt, Pyrokinesis, Goblin Lackey.
At end of turn, he makes a fake Goblin Lackey.
He must be very happy to see that Denny Chan did not swords the initial Goblin Lackey, as his hand was kind of all in on the Lackey.
Wow.
No other land.
Another Pyrokinesis in hand.
No real threat, but as soon as he draws a Goblin...
Well, I mean, that's still 4 damage.
I mean, as soon as he draws, say he draws a Goblin Matron, then... oh my. Because he can stack the triggers off 2 Lackeys and play most of his play out a Siege Gang.
That was exciting. You asked me a question, and now I don't even remember. I'm still kind of all...
I was talking about why the lack of Rishadan Port.
Oh, I was going to say, lately Rishadan Port has really been falling to the waysides. A lot of people are not running it in... Oh, there we see a... Chieftain. Wow. No War Chiefs.
No, just Chieftains.
Just Chieftain, no War Chiefs.
Oh my, I didn't... You're right, the first time there are no Goblin War Chiefs in this deck.
Umazawa's Jite. And now we're going to see a copy of the War Chief. Sorry, the Chieftain. That means that on this turn, when he copies the Chieftain again, there's going to be 3 Chiefs in play, if he wants.
It's going to be quite a lot of damage. There'll be a 4-4, a 4-4, and a 3-3. No, 3-4, but that'll be 15 damage. Possibility of 15 damage if he copies the Chieftain.
that a wasteland in hand too?
No, I believe no. There's one in the yard. Did he draw one?
I think he might have drawn one. I'm not sure. I can't verify nor deny.
Either way, the pyrokinesis that's in his hand, I think, provided he has another red card, is superb right now.
Okay, I'm not sure what they're discussing right now. Perhaps the size of the chiefs. Now remember, what's happening here, the Kiki-Jiki has a chief copy in play, and it's untapped, because there's that little window at end of turn.
At end of turn and until end of turn are two very different things.
Yeah, now this was discovered in the most part by Dominic Riesland, a Milwaukee area judge, and then brought to U.S. Nationals, and eventually used by Kyle Rose to win that U.S. Nationals.
Now, it was originally used with Waylay, wasn't it?
That's correct. Waylay was the card.
And flavorfully, the knights are supposed to waylay a dragon, but instead they were getting their own opinion and saying, I'm not going to fight this dragon, I'm going to attack the other person.
Yeah, it was called White Lightning by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And Denny Chan just scoops it on up.
So Brett Parise with a Goblins deck very much tuned to trying to sneak Goblins back in past these Mystic decks that have kicked it to the side. And as we saw in Game 1, they're really playing a lot of cards that he has drawn a target on Stoneforge Mystic and is going for it.
Okay, guess what he has in the board? Okay, so we were talking earlier yesterday about how when you see an opponent and you're like, oh my god, they have all these main deck hate cards for red, you know they're going to have even more hate cards in the sideboard. Well, he's got these main deck hate cards. In this case, Goblins has it for Maverick. He's got Anarchy in the sideboard. I mean, Anarchy, for those of you who don't know, red 2, destroy all white permanents. It's like,
just 2 Anarchy.
That's not targeted.
Another Pyrokinesis.
Okay, what are the cards that it kills for Mother on this side? Mother, Knight of the Reliquary, Stoneforge Mystic, Kasali Pride Mage, Gadok-Teeg. It doesn't exactly kill Gadok-Teeg since you can't cast it, but that's a pretty good start.
White permanents? It kills the one of
Elspeth.
Knight Elspeth.
It kills
Errant.
Elspeth, the Knight Errant. And all of the soldiers that might be out. Okay, so he's got Anarchy. He's got another Pyrokinesis. Okay, this might be an awesome 2-0, but we'll see. Other side of the table, what do we got?
We have a lot of one-ofs. We have 2 Paths to Exiles and a Maze of It.
I think those are very valuable.
Coming in. We also have the Tutor Canis package, typically for combos. That'll probably be left out. He may bring in an Oblivion Ring as well.
Yeah. That seems rational. And look at the smile on Brett's face. He's like, yeah.
I was ready for this. This is awesome.
Guess what? In my neck of the woods, all of my friends play Maverick.
Everybody plays Maverick. This is how you're supposed to build mono-red goblins.
Oh, man. You know, I don't know Brett Parise, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was one of 2 things here. If he was either looking for kind of a more budget build for his deck, because this is a pretty cheap deck he's got here in terms of the valuable cards. He's got 4 Wasteland.
He only has 2 Pile Driver.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very inexpensive deck that he has here. And so there's always the possibility of him building to his budget, or alternately, he could just be somebody that's loved goblins forever.
Right. I mean, there are certain aspects. 2 Tuk-Tuk Scrapper. Different, but I'm not going to say worse.
I definitely don't think worse, because Tuk-Tuk Scrapper, that little nudge of damage is really, really powerful.
He has a lot of the utility goblins in his main deck. As you know, he has 2 Pile Drivers, not 2 Pile Drivers. Sorry, he has the Sharpshooter in the main. He has 2 Scrappers in the main.
I like the look of this deck, honestly. It looks like it's a deck that's primarily designed to, even more than other decks of this ilk, other Goblin decks, to really rule the board. And that looks like it's what it's trying to do.
I mean, it seems like he's a little bit forsaken his combo matchup. He's not playing, he has 3 Chalice of the Void in the board because no Pyrostatic Pillar, no Mind Break Trap. I think he's really hoping just to beat up on aggro.
I mean, essentially, his answer to combo is Chalice of the Void.
Chalice and crossed fingers.
Yeah, Chalice and crossed fingers. Hope this Chalice does it. Honestly, crossing your fingers can sometimes be, in Legacy, one of the best choices, because you simply cannot beat everything.
And one of the things is that one of the things that we were talking about earlier about when you said sometimes the best play is across your fingers is that we talked about when you have a matchup game 1 that's a 20% win, even if your sideboard can raise it to 50%, sometimes that still mathematically is not good with you, and sometimes it's best just to not try to win that matchup and instead try to win the ones that you actually can win.
Particularly if it means that you end up shaving off your percentages against the other 98% of the field.
Yeah, it might be better just to have more cards for the matchups that you intend to win and just say, well, this matchup's really bad, I'm going to hope to avoid it.
Turn 1, Green Sun Zenith from Denny Chan to get a Dryad Arbor.
We actually see a lot of decks in Legacy do that, forsaking their combo matchups. When you see decks like Lands or Enchantress, oftentimes those decks have a very hard time with Storm-based decks. You can see the players not really try very hard to beat them, and instead just assume, make sure that they beat the decks that they're supposed to beat.
Aether Vial.
Aether Vial fast here, but because he's not running...
Oh, Dryad Arbor in for the beats.
Dryad Arbor gets in there. Aether Vial not as scary in this matchup as it is against, say, a more counterspell heavy deck.
It's really just an elf, essentially.
Yep.
And Aether Vial to 1.
And he once again, Brett with a Pyrokinesis in his hand. And a Lightning Bolt. So probably the Lightning Bolt will end up getting pitched to the Pyrokinesis to eat Dryad Arbor, and perhaps if he sees Denny tap out for a Knight of the Reliquary, maybe both of them.
Right.
Brett with a unusually slow start out of Goblins. He's going to Lightning Bolt the Dryad Arbor. So he has other plans for the Pyrokinesis. And no other plays right now.
It's a Gem Palm Incinerator.
Brett missing his 3rd land drop. And Green Sun's
for 2.
Probably getting Scavenging Ooze again.
Pride Mage on the Aether Vial?
Against a red deck, I almost would prefer a card that just is very good at getting big. No, but you're right. He's going to go for the Khazali Pride Mage. But go. Not blow up the Aether Vial.
And as long as Brett is not... fetch. In response, Bolt. Oh, wow. I would like to
in response, the Bolt's already gone.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Pitching a Shattering Spree. An interesting sideboard choice for Brett to board back in. His opponent only has 3 pieces of equipment, so I'm not sure about the boarding in of Shattering Spree.
That seems a little overly ambitious. The less goblins you have, the less good your goblin linear cards are.
As it turns out, it's just fine here, in that,
We're going to see a Matron?
It was a red card. Yeah, Matron out. So, as a note, Denny may have wanted to, if he had every intention of blowing up the Aether Vial right away...
Oh my gosh, is that a Warren Instigator?
That is a Warren Instigator.
Oh.
It seems like Denny would have wanted to have cracked his fetch land before casting his Green Sun Zenith in these instances that Brett had some sort of removal spell for the Pride Mage.
Yes. Absolutely.
Warren Instigator, a card that Brett can cast. We also see in his hand... Now, he could have done some nifty end-step shenanigans, because we also see in Brett's hand that there's a Goblin Chieftain. So he may next turn giving everything haste. Swords will take care of that.
Gain 1 life, Brett.
Well, Instigator actually, for the most part, not as scary of a card anymore. The Aether Vial will achieve most of the things that the Instigator would try to.
I'm thinking it's more the damage.
I mean, that's a very legitimate concern. With a Matron, it's a 4 power. Or with a Chieftain, it's a 4 power.
2+2. Double strikeys. We see some 3-card Monty from Denny as he moves things around. Back and forth, back and forth. Tap, we're going to probably see a War Chieftain, I should say. Goblin Chieftain in play. A pair of 2/2s at the ready.
That's during his upkeep, Chieftain.
Interesting. Oh, hang on a second.
They go to
Another
attack.
swords.
No, that guy's getting swords. Denny firing off swords to plowshares.
In for 1?
Really, Denny needs to just buy time until he can stabilize, until he can grab a Stoneforge Mystic or a Knight of the Reliquary.
We see another Matron in Brett's hand.
Another Matron, a Gem Palm Incinerator, a Wasteland, Wasteland a little dicey to play here, as the opponent has a Wasteland. Brett will probably main phase the Wasteland and just waste a waste. Or he'll just, or he'll cast a spell and be content getting Wastelanded. Another Matron.
That's 2 Matrons now. The second Matron, it looks like it's going to be tutoring up. It could be another Chieftain. It could be a Ringleader. There's the Ringleader. Ringleader does require a little bit of mana, but there still is an Aether Vial.
There's still
so
an Aether, yeah.
Even if he gets Wastelanded, he can up the Aether Vial in order to make that
and Ringleader just then starts this avalanche of goblins.
It's also worth noting that a lot of the spells that are in Brett Parise's deck, quote-unquote, watering it down, have been cast, so it's a little bit less watery.
Right, the creature is probably going to come attached with, Ringleader will probably come attached with at least a draw 2. And there is, Denny appears to have drawn a Stoneforge Mystic, which is a very big game here. He is playing Sword of Fire and Ice, which is his likely target, and Brett has pitched a Shattering Spree, so Sword of Fire and Ice, which is what he's getting. Very strong right now, and he's going to waste the Wasteland off. He's going to cast it. Now, with the cast there, I don't know if I would cast it in that position, because he's already seen a Shattering Spree out of Brett Parise. He might be seeing more Shattering Sprees, and I think getting that hit in there with it is very important.
We go up to 4. Tap.
What we'll almost certainly see here is
Sharpshooter and a War Chief. Sorry, a Chieftain.
Remember that Brett has a Gem Palm Incinerator in hand, which will almost certainly get cast on the Stoneforge Mystic.
The cycling of that Gem Palm Incinerator is just such a beating, too.
Yes, and he's not going to waste time. Doesn't want anything happening in response. Which is also effectively a Stone Rain due to Gaia's Cradle.
This is true.
He draws another Gem Palm Incinerator off the Incinerator.
In for 4.
Goblins doing what Goblins does best. Actually, I find it one of my favorite things about Legacy is that one of the best card advantage aggro decks is a mono red deck.
Let me change your statement. One of the best card advantage decks.
Some of the most raw card. Yeah, mono red Goblins has some of the best card advantage in the format.
Yeah, you don't even have to be limiting.
You're right. I don't have to say aggro. It has some of the best card advantage in the format, and it's red. You know, a color typically known for overwhelming its opponents with card advantage.
That's what I like to do with my red decks.
If he has that land, he can cast a Chieftain, he can Aether Vial in a Siege Gang Commander, and he can attack for approximately $1 billion.
I think it's actually $1.3 billion if you do the math. We have a small Earthquake. Oh.
Siege Gang Commander.
Siege Gang Commander with 3 friends.
3 friends. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/1s and 2 2/2s.
I remember Denny has already used a number of Swords to Plowshares. He could well have another one.
There's 3 of the Star City Games Goblin tokens. So we have 5, 7, 8, 9.
Chieftain.
And
there's
there we go.
another one. Wrong pile, but that's okay. It's still going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 damage.
Denny was on the ready for that sort of thing.
Now, if Denny happens to have a Scrib Ranger,
and Denny has a path to exile for
nice.
So much removal, but
Any
even
Scrib
so,
Ranger.
This is where the real card advantage comes into play.
Okay, no Scrib Ranger at the end of the turn. I was going to say we could have a equipped sword
vigilant
guy coming in. Knight of the Reliquary equipped. Okay, it might be too late now.
It might be too late. All it really takes is a well-timed burn spell. He can put Denny down to 5. And the problem is that Denny has no way to really gain life right now on the table. See how many lands he gets that can... No, none of his lands really help in that matter either.
If I were Brett, I would just come on in with everybody.
Eyes on the prize. Your opponent's at 10. Let's make that number smaller. And there is a Goblin Ringleader being held off screen right there.
It'll be 5 if nothing tricky happens. Oh my goodness.
Major, and just so you know, Brett does play a second Siege Gang Commander.
Oh, he's getting a Kiki Jiki perhaps? Oh. Gets a
he's getting
Kiki-Jiki.
a. Did you see? Have we
It was a
seen it?
Kiki-Jiki.
All right.
You can put the Kiki-Jiki into play and then copy.
Copy matron.
Copy
Copy
a
ringleader. This is where what we mean. We say that mono red is the best card advantage, one of the best card advantage decks in Legacy. And here comes, going to not even, he's going to make it main phase, Kiki-Jiki.
Kiki, which one?
Making another Goblin Ringleader. Next turn, Kiki-Jiki will make a Matron, which will get a Siege Gang, which will get vialed into play, which will probably be lethal. So, well, Kiki will probably, to be fair.
Oh, another ringleader.
Ringleader into two
another
more ringleaders.
Factor fiction, factor fiction.
Only the vial was on 4. No, which totally unnecessary.
Okay, remember, one of those matrons cannot attack, so hold back one matron. Okay, there it is.
Yep.
There's the one. Block, take 5, go to 5. Now,
Go to 3. There's a 2/2 ringleader token.
oh, are there? I didn't even see the little dice.
The copied ringleader. It's
Oh, yeah,
a
that's
little
right,
green
that's
bead
right.
at the bottom of your screen. So Denny now at 3.
Now, Denny needs something awesome. He's going to have to attack regardless, I think, just to kill the Kiki-Jiki.
I'm not sure Denny has anything awesome enough in his deck to not take 3 from this army. He has no sweepers.
He has to attack. Deal the damage, draw a card, kill the Kiki-Jiki.
And that's not going to be enough.
He gets to draw a card. He can find something awesome. If he found a Scrib Ranger, he could get a untap the Knight of the Reliquary, get a Mazavith.
We're getting closer. I don't think so. I think we're still
dead.
I'm
trying.
I think we're still dead.
Oh, he could get a Scavenging Ooze and gain some life. And that's
there's the
not
concession.
there.
Brett Parise with Mono Red Goblins takes down his targeted foe. He takes on Denny Chan playing Maverick, 2 games to 0.